So when I was in Virginia, there were a few people that I was going to see. I was going to go see my friend Sage in Chicago. I haven't heard a word from him since Natalie died. He just ignores me. Mahalia Jean Pierre, she's another one I was going to see. She was able to get a ticket back to Boulder while I was up rescuing Jamie. Amanda Demet, we've already spoken with her. She's another person that I went to see. It wasn't just Natalie I was going to the East Coast to see. I never wanted to go any further east than Kansas. Here's Ed. Hey, Red.
Hey, what's up, man? What you up to?
Well, I'm fighting a real tough fucking battle.
Oh, we all.
Most of the people.
What's going on?
Well, most of the people I had to deal with are addicts. You know how that is.
Yeah.
When all that shit happened over on the East Coast, like, it really destroyed my life. What them young women did destroyed every chance that I had at a decent life. But the cops, they were aware. I tried making them aware on multiple occasions, and so they were pretty deep and entrenched in covering up the wrongdoings of each other. So that's a lot of what I'm dealing with. They refuse to look at any evidence, refuse to talk to any witnesses, refuse to do anything at all except hide the wrongdoing of fellow officers and lie to medical staff and lie to, well, a lot of people. Whatever lie it took to cover their wrongdoings. They did that in Chapel. They did that in Boulder. They did that in Broomfield. I'm not sure how much you know about Natalie's death.
I mean, I don't know much. I mean, you told me a long time ago, but it's been so long. I mean, I just know the basics. Yeah, you know, something happened to her. They thought it was you. Like, I always knew wrong. It turned out what? They found the dude or something?
They did, but by that time, the cops had already done a lot of fucked up shit.
Of course. Because they try to fit. This all happens all too fucking often. They're building their case to their intention. They have the idea that they don't care what really happened.
Yep.
They're like, we got this guy, and this guy. We're gonna make the fucking evidence match the story that we choose, and they'll fucking cover each other's asses doing so.
Yep.
And like this, the truth. When the truth comes out, then they just gotta cover their asses some more because they know they fucked up already.
Well,
all too common, man. Fucking law in this country is corrupt.
Exactly. Well, they kept trying to peg me as schizophrenic. I'm like, autism is not the same as schizophrenia. But that's the thing. Like, all right. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but when I went to the East Coast in 2016, I was going to visit you too, right? And I was planning on going to the Air and Space Museum there with you, right?
Yep.
So that's not something that I just imagined, right?
Definitely not.
Well, that's a lot of the stuff that I'm dealing with is that, you know, they wouldn't call you, they wouldn't call Mahalia, they wouldn't talk to Amanda. I mean, I gave them every piece of information that I could to try to show the truth. But the thing is that with me being targeted by the police and by the volunteers and by all of these meth heads, I mean, it was a really messed up situation, and I was just being abused everywhere I went.
Right.
And like a lot of the people that I went to see, like I already got the evidence from Amanda that I was going to see her too when I was over on the East Coast. And I got the evidence from Moose that I was planning on seeing him too while I was on the East Coast. And I got the evidence from Mahalia and screenshots, and I got the evidence from, like, I have all that stuff. It's just that I wasn't allowed to show it in court. And then there's the fact that, the media and a lot of these sleuth groups just started off hateful, and I literally couldn't do anything except take the abuse. I couldn't get the cops to listen. They kept on separating me from everybody who was trying to help me. They were preying on the homeless, as they always do.
Oh, it's fucked, man.
It is. And then I had a lot of issues with your ex because she can't stay off the shit.
Nope. I don't talk to her. I like literally for like maybe a month, like 6 months ago, was like talking to her on and off, just randomly. And like I said, she had this fucking flip out on me because she was still sober because she just woke up. And I was like, you know what? Bye.
See, that's a lot of what I've been dealing with. Like, the last time her and I talked, she she let me use her old Facebook account so that I could gather evidence and I could speak out. And then she got mad at me because I didn't fucking kill myself. And she was telling me that she was going to take it down the next day. And the thing is, it's full of evidence, I mean, that's the fucked up thing. But they gave her housing. So because she's got housing, she doesn't want to get that taken away. And meanwhile, I'm being pegged as if I'm some sort of fucking drug dealer, alcoholic, fucking chimo rapist motherfucker. And it's like, here's the thing, Christine. Like, I'm doing the best that I can, and I can't see my loved ones. You can see your loved ones. You, can go down
to. And choose not to.
Do what?
And she just chooses not to.
Right? Well, see,
like my son's only heard her voice once. Like, literally.
Yeah.
That's because I took her to Pittsburgh to visit her on one random occasion she was out here. So if it wasn't for me, he wouldn't even know what she looks like. And there's no reason for it other than she just doesn't.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
He's definitely not a very.
That's just sad.
It is sad. Like, I had parents that chose drugs over their kids, so I understand that completely. I mean, well, not completely. I mean, I'd heard my mom's voice, but the thing is, if I got to see my mom, it was on a home visit. Usually she was so coked out of her fucking mind that, she really wasn't being much of a parent. And I didn't realize that until later on. But I mean, being homeless on Pearl Street and growing up in the system, like, you learn shit quick.
Too quick.
But on that Facebook, like, she knew that there was a lot of evidence on there that I needed, and she hadn't had any fucking meth for almost a full 24 hours, and she was fucking flipping shit, and she had just gotten into housing, and basically they gave her housing for fucking pulling the bullshit that she did. And it's completely screwed. Like, for me, when Natalie was killed, everything that I had was taken away from me. Everything. And, all
you were taken away from you.
Do what?
He took, like, the essence of you.
Yeah. Like, when have you ever...
Your stuff, your life.
And I'm not much of a functional human being anymore, that's for sure. Everywhere that I've gone, like, people are addicted to the things that trigger me. They're addicted to drama and killing and fucking murder and screaming and, just obsessive bullshit that, I always tried to steer clear of. But then, that's... people want to watch this stuff on TV, and I'm stuck in their houses because I don't have housing anymore. And then I'm getting railroaded in court because I can't afford a lawyer, and public pretenders aren't going to do their fucking jobs. And when I go in to try to file a report...
I'm stuck in that same thing, dude. I can't afford an attorney. I got this fucking bullshit old possession charge here, and I can't afford an attorney, and that fucking public defender's not going to do shit. But I've been clean for so goddamn long. It's fucking nightmare. I'm going through that same thing with the public defender bullshit. They don't do anything.
They don't. Like, they should not get paid.
When I went into court, they literally, like, court was already in session, the lawyer hadn't even got there yet, and he comes out and, like, literally talks to me for, like, less than 10 seconds and told me, like, this is going to happen, you're going to do this, bye. Like, this is not representation.
And see, they did that same thing to me. If they showed up at all, like, a lot of times they didn't.
This is less than nothing. You already had this prefabricated before I got here.
Yep. And that's the thing, is that, like, when you're homeless, you get a public pretender who's not going to do their jobs. Now, if you're a female who's got kids, they will do a lot more. Look, I'm walking down the stairs and fucking my back is killing me. I have to use the handrail. I got degenerative disc disease now. Yeah.
Oh, dude, I hurt my back. It was like maybe 2 years ago now. I wrecked my truck, and I didn't think anything was wrong with me. And then, like, a month later, I was, like, literally paralyzed. I couldn't even get out of bed. Like, I needed, like, a cane to get onto my feet. And I don't know what happened, but I slowly started getting better. But I literally thought, I was like, fuck, I'm going to have like, a walker soon.
I did have to have a walker for a while, and I used a cane for a few months. Like, right before Natalie died, I was supposed to go see her in Boulder, and it fucking surprised the shit out. Go ahead.
What? Oh, fucking killed goddamn dog. Sorry,
I don't know. I lose my train of thought a lot, especially like when I'm in pain. But that's the thing. Like,
playing with schizophrenia. Dude, that is such a touchy subject already. Just how we classify what is schizophrenia.
And then there's the people saying that like they call me mentally ill, because as soon as you say mentally ill, to the general public, they start thinking like Jack the Ripper and people who are schizophrenic and shit like that. Like, have you ever known me? It is a cop-out.
And because you're homeless too, they're like, see, oh, he's crazy, and he's homeless. Oh, he's a fucking, you know, it's just,
have you ever known me to exhibit any sort of schizophrenic traits at all?
No.
You see, that's the thing, is that the police and the doctors, I mean, these are people who are in uniform. You know, the doctors obviously want to believe the police. Meanwhile, I'm being taken in by police who are doing me wrong. So then the doctor
that I grew up with had schizophrenia. You don't have it.
Right?
I know this.
Now, Zach Boatman, he's got schizophrenia.
Boatman?
Boatman, yeah.
Is that what you said? Yeah,
yep.
He's a nutty motherfucker. He's volatile, unpredictable.
Yep.
And, like, doesn't really kind of respond correctly to the social situations.
Well.
Yeah, no, you're not like that.
That's something that, you know, I really needed people to come forward about. But most of y'all, the only way that I had to be in contact with you was Facebook. And after Natalie died, like, because of the slander, like, they did everything in their power to shut off my Facebook, to prevent me from speaking. And even a lot of people who were my friends took part in trying to help that out, because they were trying to, you know, destroy evidence on my Facebook about shit that they had done or things that they had taken part in. Like, you know, that's beyond fucked.
Yeah.
Then they want to pretend like I'm trying to destroy their lives. I'm like, I'm not. You know, I've been fighting for all of y'all, like, since I first hit Pearl Street. When I met all you guys from day one, did I not pass out blankets?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. Like,
yeah, I remember. That was good times, man.
And they were. I mean, that first year, it was me, Ogre, and Sage passing out blankets. And, you know, when I went to the East Coast to see you and Sage and Natalie and Rebecca and fucking Mahalia and Moose and, and Amanda, I mean, I didn't just go there to see just Natalie, and that's the thing is like, I couldn't get people to speak up. I couldn't even get a hold of them. And then they had all these Facebook groups where they're trying to twist and contort and manipulate everything into stuff that it's not. And, it was just, it's still completely fucked. Like her family is a bunch of, they're like Christine, you know? They didn't care about Natalie till she was dead. And then they took part in gang stalking me, and then the police, because they had done such fucked up shit, like they're literally doing everything they can to force me into a meltdown. They knew that I was autistic, and they went out of their way to play on that in order to send me into a meltdown intentionally. They physically and psychologically tortured me across the state of Colorado and here in Nebraska. And then they assaulted me and charged me with assault, claimed that I tried to bite them, and claimed that I had assaulted them with a weapon and all sorts of shit. And like, you can look in the fucking video, there's no fucking weapon in the entire goddamn thing on me. All the weapons the cops have.
Yeah, I hate how they can do that, because whatever charges, whatever asshole cop in the moment slaps on you, whether there's anything to it or anything to make it valid, it doesn't even matter.
Right? But then, when a cop does that, they need to be charged with, a crime, because that is a crime. Police to do it. They are above the law.
Because then they know, because when it goes to court and shit, and they got all this charge. Oh, we'll drop these if you please guilty to these. Even though they're frivolous and don't even fucking mean shit. That's the deal. It's just like, it's so premeditated. All their actions.
It is premeditated. They know exactly how to warp and manipulate the law. And I tried explaining to people, when they call you mentally ill, they're not going to take your report. They're going to assume that you're wrong, and they're going to play on that, even if they know that you're right. If you're trying to turn in cops, they're going to play on that. And I explained to everybody that I knew, hey, I need someone in person to go in with me, and I literally had to break the law in order to try to force the police to do their jobs. And then they charged me with a crime out of Sheridan, Colorado. And I did commit the crime. I did light a fire, but I didn't light it in Sheridan. I lit it in Inglewood. I did that because, like, I don't want my life to be over. And at the same time, I do. My life is shit. I can't see my loved ones. When they charged me with assault for being assaulted by Officer Waylon Lolatai, like, they charged me with assault, and then they kept on dragging it out and dragging it out and dragging it out and harassing people that I care about. And sure, a lot of these people have a history of lying to me and fucking bullshitting me, but the fact is, it never should have happened. And then they dropped the charges because they had a better frame job elsewhere. All they have to do is omit information and omit evidence. And the fact is that the DAs were involved in this, the judges were involved in this, the public pretenders were involved in this, and I can prove all of it. The problem is that I'm constantly triggered, so I can't function. Talking to people is the only functional way, and most people, they're too busy giving me advice, telling me what to think, what to feel, what to do. And I'm like, hey, you don't feel that way. You don't think that way. You don't do those things. Meanwhile, they have the resources. Yep. They got, like you were typing about that whole Buddhist way of thinking. There's a guy named Alex Furman who, he helped me to get out of Virginia when I was trapped there. And, he's afraid for his kids and all sorts of stuff like that, But then when I'm like, hey, if you don't come forward, I have to. I'm going to tell the truth whether you want to come forward or not. Because at the same time, if these cops are allowed to continue to do these things, all of my friends are at risk. Do what?
I said, we'll just keep doing it forever. If we just keep letting them do all this bullshit, which we're doing.
Yeah.
The cops will just keep doing this and keep doing it.
Yep. And even it's on my arrest record, felony assault against a police officer. The charges were dropped, but I don't have the money for a lawyer. I can't get a lawyer to help without a legal guardian. Like, I literally have to have that. whether I need it or not, I have to have one. Otherwise, my rights get railroaded like they have. That's what happens when they call you mentally ill. They can literally do whatever they want to you, and there ain't a goddamn thing you can do about it unless you have people that are in your corner and speak up. Like when Natalie first disappeared, I needed people to speak up. The things that Christine did, like they were so fucked up, but I also understand, just like she did to you. She was fucking coming down and wanted to fucking take it out on somebody, and she didn't care how badly it fucked me. Do what?
Outside of I need drugs, I don't care.
Yep. She was pissed off that I didn't fucking kill myself. And the only thing that's, stopped me from fucking killing myself is people give me promises. I'm like, you know what? I was going to kill myself on the 29th of December in 2018 while I was in California. And I had people that called me up and they're like, oh, dude, I'll help you out, dude. Just don't fucking kill yourself. And here it is, 2020. I'm like, you fucking punk ass bitches fucking lied out your asses to me. I'm sick of that fucking shit. Don't fucking lie to me, It destroys lives when you do shit like that. And meanwhile, Christine gets this cush little fucking situation because she's a fucking addict. And I'm like, hey, she doesn't take care of her kids. She only cares about drugs. I mean, how the hell am I the bad guy in that situation? And then she wants to rub it in my face that, people that I know died, Like right after she did that, she was sending me fucking text messages.
She plays her little Christian card bullshit, dude. She is like one of probably the most evil people I know.
Yeah.
Like legitimately. Like she's dark, dude.
Well, so
she's pissed or
the Bollinger family. They all want to use Jesus like, oh, yeah, well, if I pretend I'm a Christian, then people will want to be on my side. And that's one of the most manipulative things that I've had to endure in my lifetime, is that nearly every Christian I know is fake.
Dude, when I was with her, it was always, at what church could we tell what next? And she uses it as just a form of manipulation to get what she wants, like everything else she does.
Yep.
It's purely it. It's pure selfishness.
Yep. And that's the thing about addiction. Like, even you've admitted that, yeah, when you're addicted to something, it's selfish. You know that it's selfish. While you're doing it, you know that it's selfish.
Yep.
But that's the thing. Like, it's, for me, I drank until I was 21. And then I quit, But I quit.
I did the exact same thing. I drank as like a teenager. Like, socially, getting drunk, being a teenager. When I became 21, I was like, I don't drink anymore. I still don't drink, so that's just funny to me.
Yep.
I'm the exact same one.
But the thing about that is, like, when I was growing up, like, they put me on opiates as a kid. They put me in the system. They let people rape me. They let people beat on me. And then when I told on them, they wanted to fucking shove a bunch of drugs into me. Like antidepressants. They make you suicidal, right?
Same here. I can't take antidepressants because I'll be in the fucking rubber room.
Yep.
I've been done trying to kill myself.
Well, that's the thing. I explained.
I just went through that 2 years ago, dude.
I explained that to every doctor that I encountered. I'm like, don't put drugs in me. You will not like me with them drugs in me. If you put Haldol in me, especially, that's going to make me angry. It's going to piss me off. I've got adrenaline running through me already, and you're putting drugs into me, and you're injecting them into me. It's going to happen quick. When you put those drugs in me, I'm not in control of my actions. And I explain that to every fucking doctor, every nurse, and they don't listen. It's like, all right, well, you're the one who's a fucking mentally ill retard, so you obviously don't know what the fuck is going on. I'm like, I grew up on your fucking drugs, okay? I grew up on that shit. You put me on mood stabilizers. Do what?
I don't think drugs really help much of anybody. Most of the drugs we have.
They don't.
I think 90+% are fucking frivolous bullshit.
Well, the other thing is, like, there are some people, if you have the perfect family, the perfect job, the perfect house, and everything is wonderful, and you're still depressed, yeah, you might need those medications. But if you live a life of hell like a homeless person, it's an environmental overload issue. And when you've grown up being raped and being beaten and shit like that. Like, there's a lot of stuff that's gonna trigger you, and cops play on that, And then the medical community, they're only after money. They get fucking all sorts of kickdowns, and there you are going, you know what? I need a safe environment. My safe environment was taken from me. I can't see my loved ones because of slander, and I've been assaulted repeatedly because of slander. And then it all comes down to all these.
Like I said about the medical industry, I believe, is really geared to keep us like this. And it's not supposed to heal anybody. That's counterproductive to their profits. There's like this whole pandemic bullshit. It's just driving a few CEOs massive bank accounts, and we're the ones suffering.
Yep. Well, I don't see it as a big major deal. Even if it killed half the population, I wouldn't see it as a big major thing, because natural disasters happen. Even if this is man-made, like a lot of conspiracy theorists want to believe, and they might be right, they might be wrong. I wasn't in a lab helping to create it, so I can't say either way. But the whole thing is that it's gonna happen. Every 100 years or so, we get a plague that kills a lot of people.
This is a side effect of our choices in living.
Yep.
Overpopulation. We live in tight quarters. We touch everything everybody else touches. This is just expected. Like, I think this is not going to happen. It's psychotic.
Right. But then there's stuff that we can do something about.
Billion people in the world.
Well, literally the entire population of the world could live within the confines of Alaska and still be able to be self-sufficient, as long as they're properly managed. But we don't have effective management. That's right. We got people who are greedy with resources. And the media is used to do that. And with me, like, every time that I went in to try to turn in police officers, they wanted to use the whole suicide watch thing as their excuse not to do their jobs. Police officers repeatedly refused to give me their names, or they told me I could make a report when we got to the hospital. And then when we got to the hospital, they fucking pulled a Houdini. And then there's, how corrupt the cops are in fucking Boulder. I guess Steinman's no longer an officer, from what I hear, which is a good thing. But that guy belongs in prison.
Yeah, pretty much.
But yeah, that's a lot of the stuff that I've been dealing with. Like, I'm not even an addict. I don't even do drugs. When I quit drinking, that was hard enough for me, because I was drinking, pretty heavily. I wasn't drinking a 1.75 every day, like, a few of the people that I know, but I was still drinking heavily, and I pretty well stayed drunk. When I quit, I got the cold sweats, and I got the muscles that seized up and all that. And I was like, I went to one AA meeting. I listened to those guys for one meeting, and I don't even know if I made it through the whole meeting. I was like, fuck this. I'm not touching alcohol again. I don't want to come sit with these fucking idiots.
AA shit is such horseshit.
It is.
All that is Christian bullshit. Put it all on Jesus. Get out of any kind of
personal responsibility.
Accountability for your actions.
That's what Christine does.
It's the fucking most retarded thing I've ever heard.
That's what Christine does. That's what the Bollingers did. That's what Graham did. That's what Tabby did. Like, everybody wants to, when they do fucked up shit, they want to talk about Jesus. Like, you know what? Don't fucking blame it on Jesus. Jesus didn't make your decision. I read the Bible.
Your own actions, so you can't dump it on Jesus.
Exactly. I can't blame it on Jesus, and I can't blame it on the devil. My decisions are mine to make. But also, people in desperate situations do desperate things. With all of these people that I'm dealing with, number one, I'm dealing with the fact that they're all addicts. And number two, I'm dealing with the fact that they're friends with other addicts, and they're not going to fucking tell the truth when it comes to those other addicts, because they still want to be able to get their shit when they're out.
Yep.
So then I got to deal with Ted Bollinger, who's he raped Natalie, and he raped her sister, and fucking had them selling drugs down on Pearl Street. And Like everybody who is anybody that knew me can fucking tell you I was always trying to run them kids off, trying to tell all of those kids, hey, this is not the place for you. You need to go home.
Yeah. Well, that too, even, I mean, a lot of the addicts even didn't want that shit out in the parks and on Pearl Street.
Yep, exactly. But
Like,
it was the little girls coming down there because they had crushes on a lot of the boys who were addicts, and then they'd go down there and
at
they'd
least
be
some of us did.
right. So they'd go down there for the boys who were down there who were like, you know, older than them. So they're like, oh, he's mature, he's a real man. Like, no, he's a fucking wannabe thug. And then those girls would show up, and they're in fucking junior high school and high school, and then all the boys in junior high school and high school that got a crush on them, they're all fucking showing up, and then you got a bunch of drama and a bunch of fucking little kids running around, hanging out with drug dealers, and it was just completely fucked. Meanwhile, you know, I tried to bring that to the attention of Officer Ramos, because whenever we had a child molester come down, it was Officer Ramos who come down and said, hey, we're not allowed to do anything about this guy. Our hands are tied, you know, but he is a registered child molester, and you guys know, you know, with these kids hanging out, we got to get rid of these people, and we got rid of them, did we not?
Yeah.
But then, you know, when I went to Officer Ramos about the situation with Matty Boa, you know, he was like, well, you know, these kids have as much of a right to be here as you do. And that really, you know, set the tone and set the pace for that whole situation, for all those meth dealers coming in and the police coming in and, you know, tippy toeing around all of the meth dealers to try to find people who were just messing with pot. I'm like, dude, pot is legal now. Why are you still doing this? Why aren't you going after the meth dealers? Why aren't you going after cash? Why aren't you going after, uh, you know, people like him and people like George? And like, you remember George?
Yeah. I remember last time I saw him, he was just getting out of Denver prison for conspiracy to robbing a bank with those fucking, what do you call them? When that movement was going on, I forget what it's called.
Occupy?
People were like, Occupy.
Yep.
He was like conspiring to rob a bank with some Occupy people and just got out of prison. So that's what I remember.
Yep. And then him and Christine, like, you know, Christine was in love with him for like the longest time. He was like, dude, I just, you know, I get meth out of my fucking gourd and I'm fucking horny and she wants some fucking meth, so I give it to her and we fuck. I'm like, well, at least you're honest about it. But that's, you know, a lot of the stuff that I've been dealing with is that I have had to go to addicts for help because I don't have a guardian to protect my rights, somebody who actually cares. Meanwhile, I come from a long line of fucking child molesters and drug dealers. And now I got people who are telling me, you know, that my older brother is into little kids. I'm like, you guys are fucking insane. He's on meth, but he's not into little kids.
Rabbit?
Yep.
I've always assumed he was really into women and grown ones.
Yep. Well, he has been, you know, he was just as involved in trying to fucking take care of that shit as the rest of us. But the other thing is, like, there was a lot of parents in Boulder County that when they couldn't get the police to do anything, they came to me or they came to Rabbit or they came to Mobley. Like when Stefan had that little girl trapped in his hotel room and wouldn't let her leave and, you know, all that, like that girl's mom came to me and she came to Rabbit. She's like, hey, you know, I know how it is out here on the streets and I can't go to the police. I already know how that'll turn out. You know, my daughter is 17 and fucking Stefan locked her in a hotel room and wouldn't let her leave. I'm like, well, the first thing to go through my mind, because her daughter is like, you know, she's 17. She's a grown woman, basically physically in stature, you know, and an actual woman. She's not skinny and you know, a nasty meth head like Christine is. I probably shouldn't say it that way, but fuck it. And Stefan, you know, he's this little fucking dinky, like 24-year-old dude at the time who's fucking smoking meth. His teeth are rotting out of his fucking head from all the meth that he's using, and he's fucking trying to use drugs to get little girls to have sex with him. And like, yeah, her daughter, if she hadn't been afraid, could have beaten Stefan Piss fucking Limber in like 10 seconds flat. But that wasn't the point. The point is that he had her fucking scared shitless and wouldn't get out from in front of the door. And when she finally escaped, like her mom came down and talked to me and asked me to go do something about it. And when I went down there to the library to do something about it, saw Rabbit over there, and he was all sorts of smiling and laughing about fucking choking Stefan out. I was like, "What happened?" He's like, "Well, her mom came down here and told me what Stefan did, so I fucking let him know it was time for him to leave, and he wanted to get him out." But then there's also the fact that, like, as soon as all that bullshit happened and it was all over the news, like, people started manufacturing stories. Like, "Oh, dude, I saw you fucking walking into the bathroom with Alicia Bollinger and fucking shit like that." I'm like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
Like when you're dealing with meth addicts, it's like you gotta deal with paranoia. You're seeing and hearing shit that's not even there.
Right?
That's tough, dude. I'm so glad I never got into meth.
Me too. Like,
I'm not glad I did heroin, but I'm thankful that I didn't do that.
well, I tried meth for about 30 days back in 2003, I want to say, because all my friends in high school were on it.
Nothing for any extended period of time. Like a couple weeks, a month.
Well, the stuff put me to sleep, and I was only using it because I wanted my friends back. And people who are on meth, they're paranoid of people who are not on meth. So I tried it, and I realized that they had become the drug. They weren't my friends, and that's when I first moved to Boulder, you know? But now I'm having to deal with the fact that I couldn't get in contact with people when it made a difference, and the police were literally threatening, harassing, and intimidating the people that were trying to help me. And then these people want to fucking play like I'm the bad guy for fucking calling them out on their shit. Like, you didn't need to do the things that you did to me. I'm going through hell, and the stuff that I'm having to go through, like, the truth. You can tell the truth. It's not like you're fucking incapable, but they just didn't. And the cops in Boulder and well, literally all across Colorado and Nebraska took part in trying to cover up their wrongdoings. Because before Natalie died, I'd gone to the cops here in Chapel about the bullshit I was going through, and I'd gone to the police in fucking Colorado about what I was going to. I thought Natalie still lived in Virginia, and they're like, "Well, we can't do anything because it's out of jurisdiction." So when I got the protection order, I was like, "Well, this is some fucking bullshit." I mean, she's in Virginia. I can't get a protection order against any of the people who are fucking threatening my life over her lying. And, at the same time, I also have a full and complete understanding of why she's lying because she's a fucking addict. And they wouldn't help me. They kept on telling me shit like I needed to man up. Like, that's fucking sexism right there. It's funny, yeah, if you really want to think about it, but it's not.
It's not funny. It's fucked up. I'm glad it's not like funny. Funny, not funny. Like it's fucked up.
Yep.
Oh, man.
But you remember me, I was the fucking funniest person alive. Going to the feeds, everybody was always like, "Dude, if I missed one feed, I had fucking easily 10 or 15 people coming up like, "Dude, I missed you at the feed today. I depend on you because you fucking make me smile. You make me laugh. You make me feel good about myself. You fucking make light about the situations. And we all know exactly what you're saying. We all connect with you. We all understand you. And fucking when you weren't there yesterday, it kind of fucked up my whole day." I'm like, "Yeah, I know. I hear that a lot."
You're still that person, John.
I kind of, but at the same time, I'm constantly stuck in places that trigger me, and the people that I stay with, they don't understand that it triggers me, and there's also the fact that I can't just expect people to change their entire lifestyle and stop being interested in the things that they're interested in. But also, as somebody who's been raped and somebody who's had a lot of my friends fucking freeze to death and die of overdoses and all that kind of stuff, like It's not entertaining to me. It fucking triggers me when they're watching that shit on TV. When they fucking show somebody being raped on TV, that fucking triggers me. When they fucking, like right now, the guy that I'm staying with, he watches Grey's Anatomy, and before that, he was watching a cartoon about a bunch of people trying to kill each other all the damn time. Was watching that show Dexter about the fucking forensics dude or whatever who fucking the blood dude who fucking murders serial killers, and he was watching Game of Thrones.
I haven't seen it, but I know what it is.
Yep. I'm like that shit fucks with my head. It's not entertaining to somebody who's lived it. It's not. But everywhere that I go, I can't function because I'm constantly triggered. And then people say, "Well, you just need to stop being a pussy." I'm like, here's the thing: is that I stood up to people who were trying to fucking stab people. I stood in front of those people so that they couldn't fucking kill people. And these guys want to call me a pussy. Like I fucking would cower in that fucking situation, but I don't, you know. And ever since Natalie died, like there was a lot of situations that I fucking tried to go to the police about, and they didn't care. And I fucking got a hold of other people and let them know what's going on, especially people who are surrounded by alcoholics and meth addicts, and fucking they do fucked up shit. And then they want to be friends with people who fucking victimize me. They're like, Sean, I'll be your friend, but and I'll help you out if you get here. But also, I'm afraid to come forward. I'm still friends with this person, or I'm still friends with that person. And then I get there and they fucking take complete advantage of me and complete advantage of my situation. And then they want to tell me, oh, well, you could have done this and you could have done that. I'm like, no, I couldn't have. You were there. I didn't have the resources. So stop fucking playing stupid.
What happened, and it happened.
Exactly. But at the same time,
you should have done this. You could have done that. I fucking hate that shit, man.
Me too. But I also,
it's like, well, let's talk about what actually happened. How about that? And he said it coulda, woulda, fucking shoulda.
Yep. But I also got to deal with the fact that there's a lot of people that are pissed off because I told about their situation. Like if people would have come forward and told the truth about the situation.
When they're dirty laundry dragged out in public, everybody gets all butthurt.
Yep. But the other thing is,
out against you.
I wouldn't fucking aired their dirty laundry either. Like that's not something that I wanted to do. But in the situations that they literally put me in, and that's not saying that I wasn't also, responsible for that. It's the fact that I was in a desperate situation and I had to depend on someone, and the people who were fucking sober just weren't coming forward. They weren't offering to help except fucking tell me pretty words like, "Oh, you just need to love yourself." I'm like, I do fucking love myself.
From the outside, especially people that aren't on the streets or too really knowledge to have how it is on the streets, their opinion's like not even valid in my opinion.
Right? And they shouldn't be allowed to make
easy ways out that are just unrealistic.
Yeah, well, it's not unrealistic for them. When you have the resources.
You don't get when you don't have a choice. When you're in a position where you just can't get out of.
Exactly.
That is the position you're in because that's the only position. I feel you.
I had a job almost the whole time I was homeless, and then people, even I'd get off of work and I'd go down to Starbucks to relax. I'm in pain from having to do shit out of Liberty or having to work in the warehouse all day over in Louisville, and I'm like, I'm wanting to relax. And people are like, you just need to get a fucking job, you filthy bum. I'm like, fuck, I just got off of work. Meanwhile, most of the people that I was living with, like, I'm paying them more money for rent than I should have to pay, first of all. And second of all, they're not paying their rent. So they're like, well, dude, I'm getting kicked out this weekend. I'm like, why? Oh, fucking nobody's paying the bills. I'm like, I'm paying the bills. I'm giving you money every month for the fucking bills. But it was always people that, they want to constantly party. I can't get any sleep, but at least I have a roof over my head, so I'm not getting fucked with by the police. $400 in fines and 60 hours of community service because I got busted with a blanket sleeping in public once.
I'm not wondering if a fucking group of yuppie kids is gonna come down and beat them with fucking baseball bats in the middle of the night.
Yeah,
You know,
like trying
that's
to
shit people worry about.
trying to bash Ogre's head in, and people don't get that. They don't understand how often that we have to deal with people who want to go bum bashing, especially spoiled ass rich college kids.
Yep. That was a big thing when I was on the streets out in Monterey for a long time, California. And that was like a really common thing there. And it just so happens that they got a ton of military presence there. The Navy, the Coast Guard, the Air Force.
Yep.
It's all right there downtown Monterey. And they're all, I know it's the fucking, all those Army kids coming down, trying to change the world, getting drunk. I'm going to beat some bums.
Yep. Those fucking junkies.
Yeah, they fucking beat people in their fucking bags.
Yep. They tried doing that to
a couple people actually died.
Yep. Well, we all know people who died. I mean, shit, between freezing to death and being beaten to death. You know, when I first met Ogre, it was right after them college kids tried to beat him to death with a rock.
I remember that, dude.
Yup.
I remember that.
Me and Ogre sat down.
Fucked up.
Yup. Me and Ogre sat down and we looked up the fucking roster there at CU. We were able to, you know, look up the kids that fucking beat him. We were able to find them, but the cops didn't give a shit.
Yeah. God, I remember that. That's right when he first kind of got there. And me and him and I think Moose and Christine and maybe somebody else, we had a camp up in Netherlands. But that was like right when Ogre first started coming around.
Yep.
That was right after that.
Wow. Yep. But Ogre and I don't speak anymore. He's been fucking, he got real heavy into drinking and he lost his daughter. And, you know, I spent 3 months with him doing everything that he needed done. I wasn't able to go into town to get food. I wasn't able to go get my own cigarettes. I had to depend on him for everything. And he's like, you know, I'm going to pay you for watching Quilly, and I'm going to pay you for watching Mayday. And fucking, he just never did. And then, like, we had to deal with a really fucked up situation because Cardboard, she was trying to make Ogre jealous, so she was trying to get me to have sex with her and being really, really aggressive about it. And I was like, no.
She is nuttier than squirrel shit.
Yep. Well, then she had sex with Ogre.
Fucking crazy.
Ogre came in and he's right. So he come in and he just got done with his cigarette and he stops in the doorway and he looks at her and she's like, "Get off of Sean." So she gets off of me and then, you know, she's squirting me with breast milk from across the room and thinks it's hilarious, and she wants Ogre to give her a back massage. You know, I don't have anywhere else to go because it's at the hotel down on Table Mesa, and it like our hotel room is right up against the dog run. So then she's wanting some private time with Ogre. So I go outside and I'm fucking there at the dog run. You know, it's fucking paper thin walls. I could hear everything that was being said. And she was really, really aggressive about trying to get him to have sex with her. Well, the very next day, I get to hear that she ran around Pearl Street telling everybody that Ogre raped her. I'm like, whoa, hold on a fucking second. That is not what fucking happened. You know? And the difference between, you know, all those people that were like, yeah, I'm gonna fucking take Ogre up the mountain with a bottle and we're gonna fucking push him off a cliff or we're gonna fucking put him in a shallow grave.
Christine did that to me. We were in Monterey and same fucking exact fucking situation, dude. And then after we fucked, she's like, I'm gonna fucking call the cops and I've already got enough to have you locked up for rape. I'm like, oh my gosh, who does? And there's nothing I could fucking prove otherwise.
Yep. It's her word against yours, and she's a female.
Like, this fucking crazy bitch, dude.
And then you guys came to fucking Colorado. Like, yeah, if a dude fucking rapes you, why are you gonna fucking stick with him and go traveling around the country with him? You know? I mean, that's drama because they're fucking addicts. And then there's no fucking punishment for them. They get in absolutely no trouble. And meanwhile, there are men who are killed every year over fucking fucked up bullshit like that.
Or do they get into like AA or the church and can just dump it on Jesus? Just give it all to God.
Yep.
You'll be
I still read the Bible. You know, I think it's fucking
Yeah,
bullshit. But
there's a lot that I think that what humans are doing to it is the problem.
exactly, like,
The manipulation, they use that as a form to manipulate us.
and the CIA training and the FBI training, they teach you how to, you know, tell if somebody's lying, and that's the number one thing on their list. The number one thing is when they swear to God or when they start using God as their excuse. Like, yeah, you're fucking lying to me. And then there's the I swear on my kids.
Got nothing to do with God, buddy. Oh.
Yep. So that's what I'm dealing with, you know. Like when I went to the East Coast in 2016, I didn't get to see any of the people that I wanted to see because I was fucking broke from rescuing somebody in South Dakota. And then she got back together with the dude that she was telling me was this terrible person, this dude who had bruised up half of her body. So right after or right before Natalie died, her name is Jamie Curtis, by the way. She's telling me, you know, that she's scared of James, and you know she is scared to live in the same town with him, and you know she's gonna call me once a week to so that I know that her and the boy are safe. And then you know she doesn't call me for 3 weeks, and I'm fucking scared shitless. And this is literally right before Natalie was killed, and you know I didn't know what to do. I'm like, all right, well I fucking exposed James at the same time that I exposed Natalie's dad for raping her, and you know, come to find out later, because I actually have a conversation with James recorded. It's on my YouTube. You know, I found out later that the reason that she wasn't calling me is because she got back together with James. You know, that's the reason that she wasn't coming forward. That's the reason that she was, you know, manipulating other people in my life and fucking trying to hide all the shit that she was doing. She was going on my Facebook and trying to destroy evidence of me speaking out about James. I'm like, you know, that's the thing is that if he didn't do that shit, don't tell me that he did. If you're fucking scared of him and you get back together with him, you know, then you're the one who fucking did something wrong. You're the one who's putting your kid at risk. So
fucking girls do a lot though. They fucking bullshit other guys to try to make you feel sorry for them.
yeah,
To get something out of them or whatever they need at that moment. Not thinking about the repercussions of what might happen from that information.
yeah.
Real or not.
Well, there's a lot of people who are alive because I spoke up. Like when John Fox, right after his girlfriend died, Mobley was going to take him up the mountain with a bottle and fucking kill him. And I was like, dude, fucking, he didn't kill his girlfriend. He was in fucking jail. Now, don't get me wrong, he was in jail for beating her up. Okay, I mean, it's not like John Fox was fucking perfect, and it's not like he didn't do anything wrong because he certainly did. But at the same time, he couldn't have fucking killed her. There's no way in hell. He was in jail when she was fucking killed, and she was killed. She was beaten, and she had seizures and complications from the beatings, and also from her alcoholism. But I mean, literally, they were going to kill him, just like they were going to kill Ogre. But they didn't understand that, like, for me, I don't choose to be autistic. I don't choose to have PTSD from the things that I went through growing up. That they're not choices. And for me, being able to see my friends and loved ones, like that's what that whole trip to the East Coast was for, is because everybody in fucking Boulder, you know, was when I hurt my back and the cops wouldn't leave me alone. And, you know, people kept on, they were just my friends on Facebook. I needed positivity in my life. And I wanted to see you, but, you know, and I wanted to see Amanda.
You were all pumped when we were going to go to the museum. You were trying to get away for a little bit, just get some sanity.
Well, that was because Natalie saved my life. She literally saved me from killing myself over what the Boulder police were doing to me, you know? But then, like, right before she died, like, she didn't understand that her lying about the situation in Virginia, you know, they lied and said that I stalked them there, which is obviously fucking bullshit, you know? And then they were trying to say that I stalked them 1,700 miles and tried to claim that I threatened their family in Virginia. And I literally, when I got back to Boulder, I've got people fucking pushing me and shoving me and threatening me and fucking slapping my phone out of my hand and fucking assaulting me. And, you know, that that right there gets into a real complicated situation too, because them just shoving me is literally assault, you know. And they
Mm,
shoved me probably 100 different times, you know, just that I didn't count as assault. You know, when I counted before Natalie was killed, I was assaulted 7 times, but I was pushed and shoved, and the police when they come and harass us about our friends who freeze to death and call them bumsicles, we can't say anything or they charge us with use of fighting words. Meanwhile, I have to deal with
so
not just the use
a
of
base
fighting
level
words,
of
but actual
harassment
assault.
comes with our lifestyle.
Do what?
I said a base level of harassment comes with our lifestyle choices.
Yep. Well, the other
Like
thing is,
cops and people, the public, it doesn't matter. I got people throw sandwiches and open drinks at me on the side of the road just walking down the street. Like, what the fuck, dude?
yep, I've been hit
Okay,
in the head with beer
okay.
bottles. But the other thing
Yeah,
is,
dude.
like
I
for
got
me,
shot with a paintball gun. My dog got shot. For
yep.
hitchhiking. What the fuck, dude?
But for a
Like,
lot of
that's the shit
people,
we gotta deal with.
like for me, it wasn't a lifestyle choice. I busted my ass, and sure, part of it was a
No,
lifestyle
I don't
choice.
be
I
like
mean,
that.
I chose to give people blankets, but almost everybody that I knew, their dream while homeless is to get up and out, to get off the streets,
Yeah.
to be able to get a
I
night's
didn't, I didn't,
sleep.
I didn't mean like a choice, you know what I mean? Like
I
what
do.
we're living in, you know what I mean? What we lived in. I didn't mean like just chose to do that because I didn't choose.
Most people didn't, and the few that I did know who chose it, they were college kids, or like Sage. He comes from an upper middle class family. Like for him, being homeless was a choice. But he's,
Go on with I did a straight train kid thing, you know, and fucking
yeah,
hippie rainbow thing for a couple summers.
yeah,
You know, there's different levels of homelessness, I guess, quote unquote,
yeah.
homelessness.
Well, I look at the travelers in a different light than I see the home bums, and I see them in a different light
Yeah.
than somebody who's homeless and trying. Like a home bum is somebody
Yeah.
who gave up, and they're just not going to put any effort towards anything
Yeah.
except the happiness they
No,
get at the
yeah,
bottom of the bottle.
that is the end result. They're in it.
And then you've got the travelers. Most of them are college kids. They got kicked out of their mama's house for molesting their little sister and shit like that. And then that, or the girls, they want to go party. They fell in love with some dude in high school that he was totally dreamy, and fucking his parents can't stand him anymore because he won't do nothing but shoot up heroin and shit like that. So then they go traveling, and like that lifestyle, you know.
Yeah.
And then those girls, they're young and cute and pretty, and they'll bounce around from one dude to the next on the fucking homeless circuit or on the traveling circuit. And then they're like, I don't want to live that life anymore. And fucking they find a dude who already has a house, already has everything set up, and has a vehicle. And then they're like, oh, well, I'm in love with you, they just get it all handed to them as soon as they no longer want to be homeless. Whereas a guy really has to bust his ass. And there's like in Boulder, Colorado, there's 14 services for women for every single co-ed service. And it's probably even more than that now because they shut down boho. They shut down the job service there. They shut down like 5 or 6 different co-ed services that were there just in the last 5 years. So now.
When I was in California with Christine, and Avery was he was barely not even a year old. And that was like the beginning of like when I was trying to start getting out. I was like, I need to get clean. I got a kid and all this shit. Well, I got into a rehab program there, and I was in there for 89 days. I was supposed to be there for 6 months, I think. Well, midway through, Christine comes and just like, here's your kid. See ya. And like I had to sit down with the director of the place, and they had a fucking nursery and a woman's ward. Women could have their children there, and they're like, you just have to leave. I was like, what? Like you do all this for the women, but the second a guy is stuck with his kid, you guys are like, we don't do that. And I was literally dumped on the curb with my kid.
Yep.
All the women had a whole board. They fucking handled every you gonna sew a fucking bladder? But not for the dudes. Nah, we don't do that. Like, why not?
Well, because you're not a human being, apparently. That's the thing that a lot of people don't understand is that men have to deal with a lot more sexism than women give us credit for. You know, a woman can just make false accusations and destroy a man's life, and she will have all of her friends join in. And then her friends will have all of their boyfriends and husbands join in. And then you've got like 30 different people that all hate you because you told a junkie, no, I'm not going to support your habit. And that's the thing about Natalie. Like, she didn't understand and I don't even know that she's the one that called me a stalker. I do know that somebody in that household called me a stalker, and she just didn't tell them the truth. She didn't understand that that one little white lie would turn into all of this. I had to.
It's like, what's stalking? Like, I mean, when you're like you were in love with this girl, right?
Do what?
I mean, pursuing a female stalking.
Well, that's the thing is that
they're shitty about it. It becomes stalking.
But the thing is that I wasn't pursuing her either. Like, she told me a few times that she thought she was in love with me, and she was kind of wishy-washy on whether she thought she was or not.
Those lines can be blurred so easily.
Yep, but then there's also the fact that so many people just assumed that I was in love with her. Like, no, that wasn't even close to the situation. We never dated, we never kissed, we held hands once. I mean, that was it. She put her head on my shoulder, you know, when her sister was driving us from Virginia Beach to Walmart where my car was. But other than that, like, we didn't have any sort of a physical relationship. You know?
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, you love a person, you want to be with them, you're trying to spend time with the person. Well, it's not kind of stalking, I guess. Calling, checking in, whatever.
Well, that's the thing though too. Like, I didn't go there to try to date her, to try to be her boyfriend. I went there because she called me and said, "I'm gonna fucking kill myself if you're not already on the road." And then fucking 6 hours later, she ran her fucking car into a telephone pole. So I was like, "Yep, I'm on my way." It's fucking. I'd already been in contact with you by that point. I'd already fucking let Moose know that I was coming by that point. I'd already let Amanda know that I was coming by that point. I'd already planned the trip, and you know, I was thinking about not going because I that was, you know, I didn't have the money. I earned the money, and then I spent all that money rescuing Jamie up in Montana, and then I didn't have the money to go. And I'd already let you know that I was going to go. I'd already let Amanda know that I was going to go. I'd let Sage know that I was going to go. I'd try to get a hold of Moose, but he was in jail. Like, you know, it's not like I went there just to see Natalie. But then there's the fact that so many people they just wanted to assume instead of asking or finding out. And when I got back to Boulder, I mean, that's the one place my entire life where I was allowed to be who I am. That's the one place where it was okay for me to be a decent person and I wasn't victimized for it. And then, you know, as soon as I got back to Boulder, having to deal with people, it started off with, I heard you stalked some girl in Virginia, and I heard you threatened some girl in Virginia and her family. And then fucking it warped into, I heard you fucking raped some girl in Virginia. And then it turned in, I heard you molested some little girl in Virginia. And I'm like, holy shit. Like, Jesus fuck, woman, fucking tell the goddamn truth. You know, people are treating me like I'm a fucking child molester and a rapist. And like, at this point, I'd literally only had sex once my whole life. You know, you remember that little Hispanic chick, Bree, the one everybody told me was my stalker?
Yeah, vaguely.
Yeah, that's the girl I lost my virginity to. She turned 19 and fucking was still telling me she was in love with me and all sorts of shit like that. And yeah, I had sex with her. It wasn't that enjoyable. It wasn't like some great magic thing, you know. But I figured since she's in love with me and she's still pushing me,
usually not.
right? Well, then, you know, I went down to Denver. I got a job. I was fucking gonna get a place down there, and I called her up to say, hey, you know, I got a job and I got a place, and you know, I'm gonna be moving in. And that's when she tells me, oh well, Sean, I'm dating somebody else. I was like, all right, well, that's cool. It wasn't like, I was in love with her. It was just this thing where I was like, I've spent most of my life single, or all of my life at that point single. And, if this girl, because she'd been telling me she was in love with me since she was 15, you know, and when I finally gave it up, that's when she fucking disappeared on me. But, I mean, I've had to deal with so many people that pretended like they cared about me that just, they literally threw me away like I was garbage over all of this. And I'd seen that happen enough before in my lifetime to other people to know exactly what was going to happen. And I was begging her to fucking call off the dogs. Like, hey, these guys think that I did things that I didn't fucking do, And I've got people like, oh, you're afraid of a little girl. I'm like, fuck you. It's not that little fucking girl. It's the fact that she fucking lied, and I have grown men who are assaulting me and threatening to kill myself and my family. All right. This is something that needs to be fucking taken care of, and it needs to be taken care of as adults. And after fucking 4 months, 5 months, something like that, I was sick of being fucking nice about it. I was like, you know what, you fucking cunt, you need to fucking knock this shit off. You need to fucking tell these people to quit. You need to call off the fucking dogs. And she's like, well, I'm gonna fucking call the cops on you. I'm like, give them my fucking number. I literally have proof that I fucking sent that to her. Give them my fucking number. you know? Have them call me. Have that cop call me. And they never fucking did. I didn't get a call from the police until Natalie was fucking dead. Then they wanted to know where she was at. Like, how the fuck should I know? I thought she was in fucking Virginia. Meanwhile, everybody that I'd been going to try to get help, they're like, "Oh, dude, fucking, I don't want to be targeted by the cops. I don't want to be fucking targeted by the media and by the fucking homeless. I don't want to go through any of the shit that you're going through." I'm like, "Well, you know what, motherfucker? I'm gonna tell the truth, whether you want to fucking come forward or not. If you're gonna tell me something, if you're not willing to tell the police that something, then don't tell me." Because I'm gonna go to the police with it, and if the cops won't fucking listen, then I'm gonna tell the whole fucking world. I am going to make sure the world knows what the fuck is going on, because by that point, I had been targeted by the whole world.
And anybody that's like involved in a life on the streets and drug trade of any kind is immediately automatically suspicious of cops, governments, stuff like that. So they're never going to give the true information. They've always got a motive. They're always trying to hide something.
Yep. Well, all these people that said, "Hey,
they don't want their business out there, even though they might know this." That's fucking tough, dude.
A lot of people let me know that people were threatening their lives, threatening to kill them, fucking sending them pictures of their kids with nooses around their necks. And a lot of these people, it turned out that they were just fucking drama hounds who were playing head games. And then a lot of the people that I went to that said that they would help, they did more harm than good. There were people who were trying to help me because before Natalie died, I was trying to hook up a GoFundMe, but I didn't know how. And after Natalie died, two different people set up GoFund, or three different people set up GoFundMe's for me. And because of a woman here that I knew from Chapel, Nebraska, named Candace Bondurant, who was fucking threatened, harassed, and intimidated by the police for trying to help me, and her landlord threatening to throw her out in the January snow. Like, she did so much fucked up shit. And because of that fucked up shit that she did, and don't get me wrong, I texted a lot of mean shit to her because of the fucked up shit that she was doing. But she was using that to try to make everybody hate me and try to fucking destroy my words as if I'm some sort of a terrible person and fucking like I'm some sort of a liar. And I'm like, fuck you, Candace, you fucking fucked up fucking cunt. That is such fucked up fucking bullshit. She tried to pretend that I had internet the whole time I was there. And I was afraid of disrupting her life and her kid's life, and the fact that I was going to have to talk about rape and murder and shit like that. My phone wouldn't fucking work there. And, she's like, well, you were at my house for a whole week and you had internet access the whole time you were there and all sorts of stuff like that. And I knew she was up to something fucked up when she was typing that because I wasn't there for a whole week. The only time that I had internet access was when her kids were there. And she's typing stuff like, well, that disrupted my kids' lives. I'm like, yeah, I know. I fucking know. And then she's like, you didn't do anything except look at YouTube videos when I finally let you have that to yourself. And I'm like, here's the situation that happened. There was a woman named Shelly who was one of Natalie's ex stepmothers, another addict, by the way. And she pocket dialed me, and it sounded like there was a scuffle, like somebody was fucking getting beaten to death and fucking being strangled. And I called 911, and the cops were already outside. And this is after Natalie is dead, and everybody knows that she's dead. And the cops have been driving around the fucking house for a few days, and finally, with everything that was going on and the fact that Candace, didn't have internet at her house unless she was there, like I turned it all over to Shelly. And the next day is when that happened. And then the day after that, Candace was like, hey, the cops were outside of my house when I took the kids to school. And then they came to my work, and I can't have that. And then my landlord was threatening to throw me and my kids out in the cold. Fucking, you got to go. And I already knew that I was going to have to leave there. I knew that it was a temporary situation. But there's also the fact she completely misled the situation. And when she was sending our screenshots, she didn't send 90% of the conversation. She just sent the parts where I was fucking pissed off because I knew what she was up to. And it got posted all over the fucking internet, and all these fucking sleuth groups that fucking hate me that won't show the full truth. They just show the parts that they want to twist to make me look like a bad guy. Like, fuck all of you. You're all a bunch of fucking skeezy ass pieces of shit.
Just pulling shit like that out of context when somebody's just raging mad and
she didn't care how it would affect my life. She didn't care that because of what she did, that resulted in more violence and more threats against my life. What she did is a felony. I am disabled. So what she did is literally a felony. But she also works at a hospital in Haxton. Also, they fucked up at the hospital by not giving me my hospital paperwork. She said that she would bring it home, and she never brought it home. And, with me losing my house and losing my mailbox and losing my income because Natalie was killed, like there was nothing I could do except take the fucking bullshit and take the violence and take the harassment and take the threats. I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna fucking speak out. Candace should not have been threatened. She never should have been fucking threatened by the police or by her fucking landlord. And she should have fucking spoke up, and she shouldn't have been fucking harassed by the people in these fucking Natalie Bollinger groups. And they weren't even Natalie Bollinger groups. They were Sean Schwartz hate groups. So that's a lot of the stuff that, like, I don't know if you'll be able to, but I'd like for you to go back through our text messages and everything like that you might still have, and Facebook Messenger, and write a report about everything that you can remember as best as you can, and fucking send that to my email address if you can.
I literally have no Facebook messages. I clear them out like a paranoid freak. I don't have anything on my Facebook.
Well, I don't erase anything from my Facebook messages, so I still have all of that. But
yeah, see, I do. I'm stupid. I was on several occasions I wished I've kept shit, but I don't. But I clear shit out as I do it because I'm fucking paranoid.
I get that. I do. That way people can't do what it is that I'm trying to do, which is take people who did fucked up shit to court.
I wish I had it. My girlfriend yells at me because I clear my Google fucking thing like every day and it resets our YouTube shit. I'm so bad about that.
Well,
God damn it, I just don't have it. I wish I fucking did.
The thing is, these people wanted to use the Bollinger family. They're all a bunch of addicts. They all, like, Ted raped Natalie and her sister. Okay. I mean, he's done so much fucked up shit to them. And, her family, they're telling me, hey, you had more reaction to Natalie's death than Ted did. He went on fucking vacation to Boston with the money that he got from the GoFundMe. And I literally didn't get any money from those GoFundMes. None. I didn't get any money from any of those people who were trying to help me because I had to deal with fucked up drama hounds and people who were fucked up in the head like Candace Bondurant, who doesn't think about the repercussions for others. And people are like, you chose this, you chose this. I'm like, hey, we all make decisions, but the fact is, our decisions aren't the only things that affect our lives. If somebody else makes the decision to assault you, that is going to affect your life. Your decision at that point is defend myself or don't. When somebody lies to somebody else about you and that's why they're attacking you, that's another thing that you didn't choose. When people are fucking working together because they want to fucking protect their drug habit and their access to these drugs, that's also not a choice that I made. When police officers, like, all right, when they drop the charges against me for the felony assault against police, it's still on my arrest record. So when I have to go talk to police about what's happened and what's gone on, they treat me in a very hostile fashion. They refuse to listen to anything that I have to say. And when I try to fucking file a report against them, they do the whole suicide watch thing because they can get away with it. So that's what I'm dealing with right now is trying to get a fucking day in court to show what these people have done and the fucking head games they played. And a lot of people, they were really nice to me. They sent me money and promised up and down that they were going to go in with me, and then they had excuse after excuse why they couldn't. And the police, because nobody ever actually went in with me, the police, when they wrote down their paperwork, they're like, oh well, nobody wants to help him probably because of the way that he acts. I'm like, no, the way that I'm acting is because I need help. You keep cutting me off from that help. And then many of these people who want to help me, they can't because they're on drugs or they have family problems or they have warrants out for their arrest or they just can't make the time, but they're trying to, or they're in a completely different state or whatever the fucking reason is. But the thing is, the cops weren't going to talk to any of those people. I told the police repeatedly who it is they needed to talk to. That's a pretty long-winded rant right there, but that's the thing is that I can't take care of myself because of what happened. I'm physically disabled because my back is fucked up. I don't have a mailbox, so all the stuff that I need, I have to fucking wait on others with their mailboxes. And then, a lot of people, I have to, their special interest, the stuff that they enjoy, is all stuff that triggers me. Shows about rape and murder and killing and shit like that. But at the same time, as long as I'm in their house, I'm at least safe from the police somewhat. I have at least some right. And although a lot of these people, if the cops came to get me, they'd just watch the cops take me. The thing is that, like, a lot of that has to do with the fact that they don't know what the hell's going on. They don't have the time. They have their own, situations going on. And, what the cops have to worry about is that that person that I'm staying with might actually care enough to make a police report and might care enough to speak out. And that's about the only thing that's rescued me other than being able to record it recently. But not having a public pretender who's willing to do their job, like I said, that has killed me every step of the way. And they've done everything in their power to prevent me from filing a report against the police and from filing reports against these people.
Yeah. Conflict of interest. That shouldn't be allowed.
Well, that's
you're going to defend me, but you work for them.
Yep. Well, a lot of the conflict of interest is the fact that I was trying to turn in my public pretenders, and I have all sorts of paperwork. I've got all sorts of documentation, both on Facebook and YouTube, and then I've got thousands of pieces of paper here that show that yes, that conflict of interest does exist. What they did was wrong. Yes, I was speaking out about what they did, and yes, I was trying to get a different attorney. But then there's the fact that people are like, oh, well, all the money that you got, all the money that you got. I'm like, I get less money per month in donations than I ever got out of disability. And the donations that I've had in the past since January, I've had somebody send me $50. That's what I've had to live with and live on since January. And it's the fourth month of the year, and I've had to work with $50. Meanwhile, I literally have to break the law to try to get the cops to do their jobs.
I know for a fact that the whole time I've been in Boulder, and ever was in Boulder, and you did not harass people for money, or flat signs, or spank. You always look for work or something that you could do to earn your way.
Yep.
So, you get my respect, if nothing else.
Right.
I know all that bullshit.
Well, that's a
I
lot
open my own eyes every day.
That's something I'm
I
gonna.
know you're out there. It used to kill you to have to spank for enough for a cup of coffee.
Yup.
I used to watch you squirm like, God dang it.
Right. And that's one thing that a lot of people didn't realize is that, like, when I had enough for coffee, the first thing I did was, if I didn't have a job, I was going in there and I was trying to, fill out job applications and get stuff like that done. And I never had any help with the electronic applications, so I had to run around and fill out
You
the
always were doing
paperwork.
little odd jobs for people, locals. Whenever
Yep.
you'd be doing something for somebody. I know.
Yep. And I did that yard work thing for that for Saeed and for a few other people. I did that for probably the first 3 years I was homeless there. Fucking they'd come pick me up, and then you get people who come down to Pearl Street that own a company, and they're like, hey, if any of y'all want to work, and then you've got like 5 or 6 guys that are they're slinging nuggets or whatever, and they're not going to go anywhere. They make more money selling drugs than selling weed. So I was like the only guy who would go with them for like probably 6 months till Bobby Sims got down with me and fucking started helping. You remember him, the other red.
Yep. I just saw on Facebook, it said friend suggestion, and it said that Bobby, what's his last name?
Bobby Sims?
Whatever.
Yep.
Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, it's red!
Right? Yep. Well, the thing with that is that a lot of those people, they don't understand that I was cut off from everyone that I love. I was cut off from everyone. I couldn't go see any of the people who brought positivity to my life. And I've had to deal with a whole bunch of people since then. They're all the negative people, all of the people who are always like, Sean, I need this, Sean, I need that. Like Christine, for example. Like she was one of the most needy people.
And living like that and having shit like that, it makes even like the most little mundane tasks so difficult and so complicated.
Yeah.
So you're like, I'll just do this. Like, you don't know what comes along with just doing just a little simple task that you said, oh, just do that. Fuck, it'll solve everything. They can't see the bigger picture.
They can't see the lack of the sleep, and they can't see the police harassing you every night, or the fact that you got busted sleeping once. Now you have to serve 60 hours of community service and pay $400 in fines, and you're like, I'm going to lose my job.
Like, just living, okay, just when you're living like that, and you have these fears of completely valid fears, your body's always running on that survival mode, that self-protection mode. Basically, it's like being in PTSD all the time. And if you have a legitimate PTSD on top of it, oh my God, it's like exponentially fucking worse.
Yep, and trying to explain that to people, especially like the cops know. They know already. They victimize us because they're bullies. They just want somebody they can take it out on. And then people in houses.
We're the ones that get kicked.
Yep. People always, they take it out on whoever it is that they think they can get away with taking it out on. Like that very same cop that'll go to your house when your husband beats you and fucking rescue from him, 6 months down the road when you're homeless because you can't pay the bills because he got arrested. That very same police officer is the one who's harassing you. He's the very same one who's fucking treating you like shit. And, you're like, I haven't had a beer in fucking 4 months. I just wanted to sit down and have a beer in private, and you're getting a fucking ticket for that. And I'm like, well, see, and me not drinking, I'm like, well, I wouldn't have had the beer to begin with. Well, I didn't know that Officer Steinman was going to pull that bullshit. He was always like this and always like that. I'm like, of course he is. You're a female.
I went to, I told everybody I was doing some shit. I was with a public defender. Well, I was on probation for a year, and I had a probation probation officer that had a fucking, I don't know for what reason, a personal vendetta out on me. He was sending me to appointments like way early, sending me to things on the wrong days, like things that he knows that like everybody goes through. Like it's a thing that's every Thursday at this time. You know, every fucking PO knows these things, and he was like intentionally fucking throwing wrenches in my gears, and it ended up in my shit being extended. And even though I did everything, stayed clean the entire time, completed probation to the end, paid my fines, did my community service, he still lied to the judge and got me hung up for 6 months, which ended up getting me fucking now I have to go back and fucking figure all this shit out. They just do whatever they want.
Yep. Meanwhile, Christina's the one who's addicted, and she gets everything handed to her.
Because I live in a trailer park, and when he came to my house, because it seems like after he came to my house and realized I was like I lived in a trailer park, here's a black guy. I was immediately on his shit list. I'm like, is this a racial thing, dude?
Because you're white trash?
Because I'm not racist, like, at all.
I know.
So I'm dealing with the fucking cops doing whatever the fuck they want.
Well,
nobody to fucking defend me.
Here's the situation that I'm looking at as far as you go. All right. You actually try. You are taking care of your kid. You are clean, and you're getting screwed. Meanwhile, Christina, she can't stay off the drugs. She gets free housing. She gets disability, and she won't stay off the drugs. You know, she treats everybody completely like trash, and then like she destroys and sabotages other people's lives, and she doesn't have any remorse about it. You know, meanwhile,
she said she was gonna fucking call and say that I kidnapped our child. But this is before I had paperwork. Now I got paperwork. I'm fully fucking protected, thank God. But she used to throw shit out like she's gonna call the cops randomly, even though I had the child for fucking 6 years. She knew I didn't have the paperwork. She's like, I'm gonna call and say he's kidnapped. I'm like, dude, do you know how fucking serious like that is? You can't just do that because you're pissed.
You haven't seen your kid in 6 years. You want money for drugs, and I'm not going to give it to you. And you're going to act like this.
Like a year ago, dude. Like a year ago, she threatened this shit. I'm like, dude, I got papers. Go ahead.
Yep.
Like literally said she was going to say that I kidnapped Avery. She hasn't seen him since he was fucking 13 months old. How did I kidnap this boy? My son.
Right.
Take him, bitch.
Well, see, that's the thing, is that's like the biggest thing that me and her had an issue with together, is that like she kept on choosing her drugs over her kids. She was choosing George because he had drugs. She was choosing, you know, to hang out with a lot of people because they had drugs. And I'm like, you know what? Yeah. You're not taking care of your kid. Ed is.
And you know what shit she grabbed me through in Boulder, dude? Got my fucking ass beat, had Monkey up my ass, had fucking Mobley up my ass over her little bullshit lies, dude, when all I was trying to do was trying to get my family back together.
Yep, and I remember that. I remember going through that.
Ass knocked out for trying to fix my family. So, fuck her, dude.
I remember Mobley saying that he was going to go beat you to death. And, you know, obviously he wasn't going to beat you to death. But I remember, you know, I stepped in front of him, and I kept on stepping in front of him. And he wanted to go down there. He was like, he's up on fucking Pearl Street. He's flying a sign. He's fucking trying to ditch state. I'm like, dude, he's trying to go fucking see his kid. All right. It's not like you weren't, it's not like you were trying to keep that a fucking secret, you know? And he's like, I'm going to go fucking beat him to death. You know, the way that he treats Christine. I'm like, dude, Christine won't stay off the fucking drugs. And Ed just wants to go see his fucking kids. That's not a fucking crime. He's not trying to fucking destroy her life by leaving. She is entirely dependent on him. She wants his attention, and you know she's pissed off because he's trying to leave.
It's fucked up, dude. She turned half that town against me over complete and utterly fabricated bullshit.
But it's all right because she's female.
I'm over it. I'm over it.
Well, yeah. You better be over it. You got your kids.
Yeah.
Between Christine and your kid, you chose your kid, and I gotta respect that. Between drugs and your kid, you chose your kid. I gotta respect that. That's two things that she's not able to do. But also,
Nope.
she's also friends with a lot of the people who knew what the hell was going on. And, they do their drugs together. And when she was pissed off at me and fucking they gave her housing, so now she's got a place to take those people so they can do their drugs. Like, oh yeah, dude, fucking, I'm not gonna help
Yeah.
you.
They're all winning now.
Do what?
I said they're all winning now. She
Yeah.
got a place. She can fucking get her boys on the side, keep doing the meth. Don't have to worry about losing her house. She's made the shame. Zero accountability for her actions. She's winning.
Yep, she is.
Not really, but.
Well, she doesn't want to be a mom. She doesn't want to have a decent relationship. She doesn't want to get clean. So she's getting what she wants at least.
Uh-huh. True that. But it does, I mean, it doesn't bother me anymore, but dude, that was brutal. Like, seeing everybody turn against me when I didn't do anything to anybody. And I always kept to myself. I didn't want no bullshit. And people ask me, like, I know how you feel, dude. Believe me.
Well, that's the thing with a lot of these people who threw me away.
I don't even know their name.
Yep, exactly, And that's the thing. A lot of these people who I'd protected, who I'd looked out for, who I'd helped out when nobody else would, when I needed their help, they're like, oh no, dude, I'm fucking busy getting drunk. I'm busy doing drugs. I'm busy with this. I'm busy with that. Like even Ogre, like he's not making any efforts to try to get his daughter back. He just gets drunk all the time. But when I'm like, hey, dude, could you fucking come forward and tell the truth? He's like, dude, I'm fucking trying to get my daughter back. You need to understand. I'm like, dude, I fucking do understand. I fucking spent 3 months of my life trying to jump through a bunch of hoops, and I literally fucking didn't have food, didn't have cigarettes, didn't have a job. I was just helping you. That's all I did for 3 months, and you can't even write truth down on a piece of fucking paper. It's nuts.
It is nuts, dude. But hey, I get off of my phone's literally about to die.
Yep, mine too. I'm down to. It looks like 15% battery. So I'll let you go. You be safe, all right?
I'm like 8, maybe less. I'm thinking of the red.
Well, thanks, Red. You be safe, and hopefully we'll get to talk again soon.
Yeah, man. Keep in touch, man.
Yes,
if you
sir.
need somebody to talk to, I've always got an ear, dude.
Well, hopefully
I got a deaf one, but my other one's kind of good.
Hopefully next time I'll have some positive stuff to talk about. Love you, bro.
All right, man. Have a good one.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
Let's see if I can figure out how to. All right, good. I love when other people hang up because a lot of times because of where the cracks are on my phone, it won't hang up when I want it to. I have to press the button like 10 times. Anyway, we got to cover a lot of stuff in that video. That's one of the people that I was cut off from. A lot of people did that shit. Anyway, I suppose I should probably close this stream. I still have the messages between him and I. So even though he destroyed a lot of that stuff, I didn't.